Now joined by the reporter in that story, Cassandra Zungu, who's in our studio in Durban. Thank you very much for joining us, Cassandra. Tell us a little bit more about these reports of tensions in the area ahead of this funeral this weekend.
Thank you very much for having me, and good evening. It was a very intense atmosphere at Umlazi today in Durban. The streets of Umlazi were emptier than they usually were, and schools were closed, as I've mentioned, and although there were no classes that were being held today, the atmosphere was tense. When we were on our way there, actually, other police officers were advising us not to do so and not to go there. But, you know, the real hero here is the cameraman who I was assigned with, who actually took my phone and attempted to film what was happening during the memorial service. The memorial service was held at a local community hall in the area at the M section, and the police were stationed just outside that community hall. And obviously there were cars spinning, but there were no shots that were fired into the air. But as he was trying to film with my phone, he was actually discouraged by people who are around, you know, as much as the community was scared and reluctant to be there and actually, you know, see what was happening during the memorial service. But, you know, they were there, you know, getting a sneak peek and also returning to their homes just to try and be safe.
Cassandra, tell us a little bit about this dead gangster and how influential he was in the area.
From what we've seen on social media, he was very influential. We've seen videos of him, you know, dancing or with his fellow gang members or wherever they may be, and you could see from, you know, messages and comments on Facebook that he was well known and he was praised by the community, as the video in the package that you've just seen has shown, that the community is actually cheering for him and that they regard him as a hero to them, and which is something that the police in KwaZulu-Natal have discouraged. You know, they've mentioned that when the community is there whilst the criminals are spinning their cars and they're firing shots into the air, anything can happen. A community member can be hit by a stray bullet and, you know, or be knocked down by a car.
It seems odd that these gangsters are able to do these wheelies and spinning with their cars, shooting firearms, and that these gangsters are well known to the community. I mean, are they operating above the law with the blessing of the law? How is it that they can be so brazen?
That's a very good question. There was also a question we were asking ourselves, but what the police spokesperson Cassandra Zungu actually told us, because we were saying that we heard from the community members that actually police in and around you know, Durban were actually working with gangsters such as the deceased gang leader, and you know, she mentioned to us that, you know, you might never know. Some police in the system are 100% pure and some are, you know, 50%, but you may just never know which police officer is actually, you know, holds the law upright.
So a heavy police presence is being deployed there. What are they anticipating that there's so many police officers have been sent there?
You know, like I've mentioned, there's police officers from Newcastle, Nongoma, all across KZN, and the police have mentioned that they're going to continue doing so and deploying police to Umlazi to leading up to the funeral till he is buried, you know, and just to make sure that the community is safe, because we've seen actually social media messages, you know, allegedly from these criminals encouraging other criminals to hijack cars in and around Durban and also attack police officials, you know, sort of a retaliation against the death of one of their own.
Earlier on, you gave us a clue about the challenges that you faced in trying to cover just this memorial service. So journalists are having a difficult time trying to bring these stories forward because of gang activity.
Of course. Like I mentioned, the cameraman, we were scared ourselves. I must mention that we were very scared. And other journalists also, from what I've seen, we were the only journalists there, you know, aside from one other journalist from another newspaper that I saw. So it was a real risk for us to go there. And as I've mentioned, we didn't even take out the SABC camera. We tried to use my phone, and even that proved to be quite difficult because people around were discouraging that. And like I've said, the real hero here was the cameraman that I was working with, who actually said, you know what, stay in the car, don't go anywhere. I'll try and get a bit of footage of what was going on. So we were placed in a very difficult situation. And, you know, it's times like these when, as a journalist, you have to think and you have to, you know, act critically. And just to say, sometimes the story is not above your life. But, you know, today we actually took a risk and we got something out of that.
Cassandra, that's where we'll leave it. That's our reporter Cassandra Zungu, who's been covering this story under difficulty. They were threatened a little bit earlier on trying to cover the funeral of that gangster with the memorial service of a well-known gangster in Umlazi.